I think the idea of meditation, you have to ask somebody what they think of it first. When I got into meditation, I sort of, for some reason, I stayed with the practice long enough, but yeah, it didn't really resonate when I first read about it, but I just had some type of faith that it would work over time. And I think the practice, what it's shown to me is it doesn't have to be tied into anything that's spiritual necessarily. It doesn't have to be, certainly doesn't have to be tied into any type of religious practice. So as a physical therapist, I think where it's resonated the most is that I do look at it as a very physiological thing, where we have the nervous system, to make it real binary and dichotomous, we have sort of this fight or flight side of things, and we have this rest and digest side of things. And the feeling that you get from one versus the other, I think, is very different. So what meditation does more than anything is it just allows you to be present. And that sounds so not useful until you actually practice it a lot more and to understand what that means. So just to give a contrast from, maybe being in a state of too much fight or flight, we shouldn't have patience in that state. We should be very much ready to move, ready to take action. But the opposite is necessary too, which means that we're ready to accept, we're ready to observe, we're ready to just be. And that state can be very, very powerful. I think one of the things I talk to my children about is this idea of how boredom really is underlying so much of our suffering sometimes, where we're constantly trying to run away from boredom. So I think a very powerful part of meditation, if you actually learn to enjoy it, is that you start to conquer the idea of boredom, is that I cannot be bored if I enjoy my own breath, if I enjoy my own feelings in my body, if I can come internal, or I can even just be present with what's going on. If that actually starts to be enjoyable, you're starting to conquer the idea of boredom. And then when you need to make a change, when you need to take something away, when you've been maybe eating too much, you've been drinking too much, you need to spend more time sleeping, so you got to take something away from your practice. Well, a lot of times we're unlikely to do that if we're constantly trying to get away from being bored. But if we can go into ourselves and actually feel this presence, it allows us to make change that we want to make, because it makes us sit with our discomfort. When we're so used to a habit or a pattern of something, when we take that away, it's going to be very uncomfortable. But a lot of times the discomfort, when you sit with it, it's not pain. It just feels like I need to do something that I'm typically doing. So there's a practice to saying like, okay, I'm okay just doing nothing right now. I'm okay being present right now. I don't have to make this reaction, or I don't have to take this action that I'm trying not to take. It goes way beyond anything that would be tied into a religion, but there's a reason that it's an ancient practice, because it seems to be very valuable for many people over decades.